Clair Obscur Expedition 33 might be the sleeper hit of 2025. What if I told you the perfect RPG exists, and almost nobody saw it coming? A game with the emotional storytelling of Final Fantasy X.
I wish you were here with me.
The strategic combat depth of Persona 5.
Marvelous!
The parrying mechanics of Sekiro. And the artistic vision of Dishonored. All developed by a team small enough to fit in your local coffee shop. Today, I'm breaking down why this French indie darling might just be the most important RPG in years, how its success story rewrites the rules of game development, and why its central message about morality and art struck a chord with millions of players worldwide.
She'll never paint again.
Let's start with the craziest part of Expedition 33. It almost never existed. Back in 2020, a bored Ubisoft employee named Guami Broch started working on a passion project during COVID lockdowns. With nothing more than an idea for a Final Fantasy-inspired RPG, he began recruiting talent in the most unorthodox way possible. Random Reddit posts asking for free help. This isn't how games get made. This is how you get 3 people to show up to your garage band practice. But somehow, it worked. A voice actress named Jennifer Svinberg-Yen responded to his Reddit post and eventually became the game's lead writer. The composer, Lorien Testard, was discovered through Soundcloud posts and had never worked on a video game before. Broch eventually left Ubisoft, formed Sandfall Interactive with about 30 core team members, and secured funding from Clair Interactive. 5 years later, this little experiment became a global phenomenon that even the French president is bragging about. Is this the most chaotic success story in game development? Absolutely, but it also explains why the game feels so different. It wasn't built by a committee or focus tested to death. This is what happens when passionate creators get to make exactly the game that they want. Expedition 33's story starts with a premise so dark it's almost funny. Every year, an entity called the Paintress marks a number on a giant tower, and everyone above the age vanishes into nothingness. The number is decreasing yearly, and we're now at 33, meaning nobody lives past that age. Our main character, Gustav, played by freaking Daredevil himself Charlie Cox, has just turned 32. With only a year left to live, he joins Expedition 33, the latest group sent to kill the Paintress after 32 previous expeditions have failed.
When you battle the Paintress, know that Lumiere fights with you.
It's Groundhog Day meets Dark Souls meets existential dread. And that's just the setup. What follows is a story about morality, sacrifice, and the different ways we process grief. It's the kind of narrative that initially seems like standard JRPG fare, but takes turns so unexpected that I sat staring at my screen for a solid 5 minutes after certain revelations. The game is divided up into acts, and each one completely recontextualizes what you thought you knew. That mysterious white-haired man who attacks your party? That's Renoir, played by Andy Serkis, because apparently this indie game somehow secured Hollywood talent. Without spoiling the major twists, the story evolves from a straightforward kill the big bad into something far more complex about the destructive nature of grief and how we use art and fiction as coping mechanisms. What elevates all of this is the voice acting and motion capture. Charlie Cox absolutely crushes it as Gustav, bringing a warmth and vulnerability that makes his eventual fate all the more heartbreaking.
Get out of my way!
Ben Starr as Verso delivers a performance that rivals his work in Final Fantasy XVI.
I don't normally share, but I suppose tonight deserves an exception.
Every character feels real in a way RPG characters rarely do. They're not just archetypes spouting exposition, they're people dealing with impending death. And did I mention the game makes you cry? Because it does. Multiple times. I'm still not over it. But if you ever thought turn-based combat was boring, Expedition 33 is here to change your mind. Now, at first glance, you get unmistakable Persona vibes from the slick battle menus and stylish flourishes. But then you notice something different. There's a real-time element that keeps you engaged during enemy turns. When enemies attack, you can dodge, parry, or jump in real time, similar to Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice. Dodging gives you a wider window for execution, but parrying demands precision timing, and lands you a free counterattack with a satisfying slow-motion camera cut. It's a simple addition on paper, but it completely transforms how battles feel. Suddenly, you're not just selecting options from menus, you're actively participating in a rhythm game of life and death. Boss fights require you to learn attack patterns and nail the timing, making victory feel genuinely earned rather than just a matter of having higher stats. Each party member has unique mechanics that make them feel distinct. Gustav gains charges with each hit and uses them for devastating overcharge attacks. Lune is a mage who stacks elemental stains to unleash more powerful spells. Mael switches between stances that alter her moveset and damage output. CL uses cards and manages to light dark phases with her scythe. Then there's the Picto system. Attachments that dramatically change how characters function with perks like increased AP gain or enhanced status effects. Master a Picto and you unlock Luminas, permanent passive bonuses you can mix and match. It's the rare combat system that stays fresh for 30+ hours, constantly introducing new wrinkles that force you to adapt. By the end, pulling off the perfect combination of parries, skills, and gradient attacks feels like conducting a violent orchestra. This is how you evolve turn-based combat without abandoning what makes it special in the first place. Expedition 33's art direction, though, is an absolute feast for the eyes. The game takes place in a dark fantasy version of Belle Époque France, blending 19th century aesthetics with fantasy elements. The way light filters through trees in the Grass Rivers region, the haunting beauty of abandoned buildings in Haute Lumière, the stark contrast of the monolith against the night sky. It's a masterclass in environmental storytelling. What's especially impressive is how the world design reinforces the themes. This is a story about painting and creation, so each area feels like you're walking through an evolving canvas with distinct artistic styles. The game also uses an old-school overworld map with oversized character models similar to classic Final Fantasy games. It's a charming throwback that doesn't feel dated, but rather like a deliberate artistic choice, embracing video game conventions rather than trying to hide them. And then there's the music. Holy hell, the soundtrack. It's no accident that the OST hit the top of the Billboard's classical music charts. From haunting string quartets to symphonic rock to operatic vocals, the score elevates every moment of the game. The battle themes get your blood pumping, while the more melancholic pieces make the emotional scenes hit that much harder. Between the visuals and the music, Expedition 33 creates an atmosphere that few games can match, especially from a studio this size. Now, let's talk about the big elephant in the room. How did a 30-person studio make a game that looks this good? Sandfall Interactive started development with Unreal Engine 4, but later switched to Unreal Engine 5, taking advantage of its nanite and lumen features for higher fidelity assets and more realistic lighting. Guami Broch credits the simplicity of modern game engines for helping a small team punch above its weight. The character models are shockingly detailed, with expressive faces that convey emotion without falling into uncanny valley territory. The lighting systems as well create mood and atmospheres that rival what we've seen from studios with 10 times the resources. But perhaps more important than the technical aspects is the art direction. Sandfall focused on creating what they call hero assets, large-scale set pieces that make an impression, while using ready-made assets for background elements like rocks. It's a smart allocation of resources that ensures the most important visual elements get the attention they deserve. The result is a game that might not have the sheer technical horsepower of something like Final Fantasy XVI, but has a distinctive visual identity that's instantly recognizable. It's proof that artistic vision can often trump raw graphical fidelity. What makes Expedition 33 special, though, goes beyond its obvious qualities. It's the little things that add up. The way the game respects your time. At 35 to 40 hours for the main story, plus another about 20 for side content, it doesn't pad itself with filler. Every moment feels purposeful, every area worth exploring. The side activities that flesh out the world, none of it feels mandatory, but all of it adds texture to the world and its characters. The Gestrels, for example, bizarre wooden mannequin people that serve as both comic relief and world-building devices. They're just weird enough to be memorable without feeling out of place. The references to art history and French culture that give the game its unique flavor, complete with mime bosses and accordion jigs that poke fun at cultural stereotypes while still celebrating them. The balance between melancholy and humor. For a game about impending death, Expedition 33 finds moments of levity that make the dark parts hit harder. All of these elements combine to create something that feels cohesive despite its unlikely origins, a game with a clear vision and the confidence to execute it. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 isn't just good. It's the kind of gaming experience that reminds us why we fell in love with this medium in the first place. It wears its influences proudly, Final Fantasy, Persona, Sekiro, but combines them into something fresh and distinctive. It tells a story about morality and grief that resonates beyond the confines of its fantasy setting. It creates a combat system that respects tradition while pushing boundaries. And perhaps most importantly, it proves that a small team with passion and a clear vision can still create something magical in an industry increasingly dominated by safe sequels and live service games. In just 5 years, we went from a bored Ubisoft employee posting on Reddit to a game that sold 2 million copies and got praised by France's president. If that doesn't restore your faith in the possibility of game development, I really don't know what will. So here's to Sandfall Interactive and their unlikely masterpiece. Here's to French audacity and creativity. And here's to Expedition 33, the game that might have just redefined what a modern RPG can be.
We lay the trail for those who will come after. Right.
So what do you think about Clair Obscur Expedition 33? Have you played it yet, or are you still on the fence? And what's your favorite moment from the game if you have played it? Let me know down in the comment section below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more gaming analysis, and hit that notification bell to make sure you don't miss any new videos about the games that deserve your attention. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.